Every time an influencer gets exposed, the internet celebrates. Millions of views, memes everywhere. But why do people secretly love when influencers fail?
As many of you guys know, about 2 years ago now, I was involved with a very public online scandal in which some fellow YouTubers made some very serious accusations against me. And within the past couple of weeks, similar accusations are being made again. And I think it's very important that I get on camera and talk to you guys honestly about what is going on.
I'm sitting here and those videos were 12 years ago. And I look at them and I see them resurface and it just makes me sick to my stomach because I don't know who that person was.
I've made a severe and continuous lapse in my judgment, and I don't expect to be forgiven. I'm simply here to apologize.
But why do people secretly enjoy watching while influencers fail? We're going to talk about that on today's episode. Get ready, it's going to be a long one and hopefully a productive conversation. So let's go.
Love me or hate me, God knows you made it. When he let his eyes on me.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the This Gyal podcast. My name is Rogan. On my platform, I do social commentary and reaction videos. I encourage my audience to have private conversations in public. So ever since I did last week's video where I talked about a lot of YouTubers going broke and a lot of content creators going broke, a lot of you weighed in the comment section and you had a lot to say. And I've read many of your comments. This is part 2 to that video because I promised that I would talk a little bit about the people who secretly pray for the downfall of a lot of content creators, secretly pray that influencers will fail. And I wondered why that was. And so I was engaging with some of you, not only in last week's video, but in videos past, just to kind of get to the root cause of why people are so happy when influencers fail. There's definitely a lot of schadenfreude going on. It happens in real life as well. But we especially see it when it comes to celebrities, when it comes to content creators or influencers, when you derive some sort of pleasure from somebody else's misfortune, somebody else's downfall. And I think that happens a lot because there's a lot of status comparison. You know, we as regular human beings are comparing ourselves to someone who might have something that we want. It might not even just be monetary. It might be a job. It might be a car. It might be a relationship. It might be whatever. And so when you bring down someone who has a lot, let's just say it was Beyonce or Jay-Z or whoever is rich, Oprah Winfrey, whomever, it's almost like a great equalizer that the one thing that you can do is pull that person down or at least revel in their misfortunes. In addition to that, people feel validated in bringing down influencers or celebrities because they perceive that those individuals have an arrogance about them and they should be cut down to size. For example, we pedestalize content creators, we pedestalize celebrities, we pedestalize politicians, and then when they get too big in our minds, it's almost like we have to bring them down, we have to set things right. And so when we see them getting arrogant, showing off their latest Birkin bag, showing off their latest car or their new house that they upgraded to, I feel some jealousy seeps in and people just immediately start thinking, you got to bring them down. I think influencers trigger this more than celebrities because we have greater access to influencers, definitely more so than celebrities. You might get a Cardi B or a Nicki Minaj who might go back and forth with someone in the comments section, but the majority of celebrities aren't doing that, especially like movie stars. You don't see Brad Pitt on Instagram going back and forth with the audience or Angelina Jolie or anybody like that. So they have greater access to influencers. They can leave a comment and that person will respond in real time sometimes. And also, influencers are just regular people. We all regular people, right? But we always seem more relatable. And I'm going to get into that topic about relatability much later. Please stay tuned for that because that's a very important point that I want to harp on. But influencers seem a little bit more relatable. We see them recording inside of their basements, recording inside of their homes, like how I'm recording right now, recording inside sometimes their little closets, and then they start to grow on the platform, whatever their respective platform is. And so we feel like we're a part of that journey. We were there from, the jump. And so there's a deeper parasocial connection with that individual more so than a celebrity, which is why a lot of people, when they see an influencer who started like maybe in their mother's house or their father's basement or something like that, start to get bigger, it's almost like they feel like they outgrow that person. So that's going to be the conversation when we deal with the relatability issue. Also, there are some people who just don't feel like certain people deserve fame. I've seen this comment in my own comment section a lot, where someone will say influencers aren't celebrities. Hollywood doesn't recognize them as celebrities. Well, who cares what Hollywood thinks? Hollywood is dying. I mean, I'm just going to be real with you. Hollywood is dying. You don't have to go to Hollywood anymore to make a movie. You don't have to go to Hollywood anymore to go and or the music industry to get your music popping and get it. Like, people are going to social media and getting a huge following, and now Hollywood is chasing those people, and now the music industry is chasing those people. So I do believe there are influencers who are celebrities, bona fide celebrities, and I don't believe in this caste system that if you're over here, blue blood Hollywood, that's it, and somebody who is just a regular schmegular person from Brooklyn who popped off on social media isn't a celebrity. I mean, what is a celebrity? But we look at these individuals and we think that because we knew them from they didn't have anything, from since they were starting in their basement or their homes, that they don't deserve this fame. And so when they do get this fame and it's an exponential growth on their money or anything like that, it triggers something in us. We also have to factor in that the internet is an amplifier. Social media amplifies outrage. Outrage makes more money on platforms than like benign conversations. When an influencer is doing really well, nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see that you've gotten your third house or your fourth car or your 16th Birkin bag. What they want to see is that you lost your house, that you're now begging for support. That makes some people feel a little bit more like, aha, you were brought down to size, you were humbled, and now we can engage in some conversation about you because you thought you were better than us. That's also a thought process. Social media loves pylons. They love mob moves. They love viral call outs. They love when 17,000 people do a response video to James Charles's apology. The truth of the matter is, people don't just hate influencers. They hate what influencers represent. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like there aren't influencers who aren't annoying as hell, because there are times when people are a bit tone deaf, and it's really a delicate balancing act. I think it's very difficult for an audience member who is on the brink of eviction to watch someone flaunt their third house in a year. It's difficult for someone who has lost their job to tune into someone who is blowing $40,000 on a purse. That's very difficult. It's difficult for someone who is struggling to pay for a bus pass or train pass to see somebody buying their 7th car for the year. That's hard. And I think, again, there's a balancing act, because some people are proud of their accomplishments. They work hard, even though people think influencers don't work hard. I've even heard some influencers say, oh, this is not hard. Well, I guess it depends on what you're doing. If you're doing low effort, no research, minimal work, then yes, that's not hard. But if you're somebody who is doing it all, like someone like me, I do it all, and you are doing research for videos and that sort, it is difficult. And if you're balancing that with family or job or jobs, that's extremely difficult. So there are influencers who do want to share, the fruits of their labor. And you can tell that they're not doing it in an arrogant fashion. I don't have any issue with that. But then you do have influencers who, they're very boastful about what they have. And you can tell the difference, that they want to make people feel a little envious about what they have. They're constantly flaunting this sort of stuff. And it is a bit of a disconnect for the audience, who may have grown with you when you didn't have anything. And now they're seeing you have this exponential growth. And you, in their mind and in their eyes, they might be seeing you blowing money on things that are frivolous. It's people's right to buy whatever they want, but the audience does feel a certain type of way. I think too, as it relates to in the audience hating what influencers represent, they see people who are just being really fake. You know, as I mentioned in my last video, a lot of influencers, they seldom share exactly the pitfalls of this industry, the pitfalls of you know, relying on social media for income. You know, sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down, but they don't say that sort of stuff. They just make it seem like, oh, you know, I quit my job and now I'm clocking 6 figures a year, 7 figures a year. I had a 750,000 a year. I had a 1.2 million. My business, you know, they say that, but they don't say, yeah, that's what the business earned. But here's what I pocketed after I paid taxes, after I paid staff, after I paid whatever. They don't say that sort of stuff to kind of give people an idea of what it's all about. They just make it seem like they're just taking home $1.2 million. And later on you see that they've lost everything. And so people are like, well, which was it? You know, did you really have it like that, or are you just faking? So people look at that lifestyle as being very inauthentic, just fake. I want to, before I start getting into the clips that I have, and I've really put together some really good clips with people giving some fantastic feedback on this whole phenomenon, right? But I want to say too, and I mentioned this earlier, that watching someone fail and fall seems to be like this great equalizer for some people. Everybody watching is not a fan. Everyone in the front row is not rooting for you. And so you do have people who are just there to see what you're up to, what you're earning, and then they're secretly waiting for you to fail and fall. I was, you know, in my last video, I was in the comment section just kind of going through, and I saw someone, if I can find it, I'll put it on the screen, and I'm going to block their name, because this is not to hurt that person's feelings, right? But it was hurtful what they wrote, because that individual said that they were waiting for these two influencers to fail. And I stepped back. I don't even know who I think one of the persons who they're referring to is, her name is Michaela. I don't know who that is. I'm not stuck in the influencer space, right? I don't know who Michaela is. I don't know who this other person is, but I certainly do not spend my time praying for people to fail, waiting for them to fall. I don't care how obnoxious they are. I don't care how much I don't like that person. That is not something that I do. I don't sit around saying, I cannot wait for that person to fail and fall, because, you know, truth be told, people tune into me all the time, and one day they might really like me, and then something may happen, a scandal may happen, anything could happen, and then just like, oh, I never liked her. I didn't like this. I didn't like that, and all that stuff. So, you know, what goes around comes around.
Look, I'm not a pocket watcher or nothing like that, but these influencers make way too much money. Like, there has to be some type of like something to stop this, because there's no way that like influencers make more than doctors. And that just shows you how much money goes into like advertising and how much people are willing to spend on consumerism. Like, somebody posting a wig review or makeup review can make a company like millions and millions of dollars. So these influencers get their fair pay, like, fair enough. But that's not like, that is OD. Like, these influencers, like, I'm sorry, like, oh, but she works for her money. Like, she films makeup reviews. It's literally just a makeup review, and I get it, but like, people are in hundreds and thousands of dollars of student loan debt to be doctors, to make sure that your heart can pump in your chest, and you're justifying somebody who literally just puts on mascara to make that much money. Like, that is completely unnecessary. Like, it's never that serious. And I think like a lot of people that want to chase this like influencer lifestyle and like make money off of the internet, like, that's actually very horrible. Like, it's no better than just being a like capitalist. Like, you're just getting paid to sell people they don't need. Like, it's literally just overconsumption, and that shit is actually really up, because so many people are chasing like beauty standards or whatever the case may be, so they'll buy and buy and buy and buy, trying to be more beautiful. But it's like, you're just, I don't know, it's like perpetuating this cycle that's really keeping us trapped. Like, I don't know, like, people really will gain it's I don't know. And the crazy part about it is that like these influencers will go and spend and do all this lavish because that's what gets them views. People are literally spending and spending and spending and spending money just so that they can get views. Like, it's people who literally have to go like, it's crazy, because that's horrible. Like, your content is dependent on you going into debt, potentially. Like, you have to spend more and more and more money for views. Like, that keeps you trapped in a cycle too. Like, there's just so much better things to do with your money, and like, if you're an influencer and you have that much money that you're pulling in for and I'm sorry, quite frankly, doing nothing, because like your niche is things that we don't need. Like, we don't need like makeup tutorials. We need food, water, and shelter, and people don't have that. And it's like, I don't know, I just feel like if you were an influencer and you're making millions, like plus, like I'm talking about multi-million dollars, like, you do not need that much money. Like, that is some that, like, I feel like every influencer needs some type of foundation. And I'm not talking about like giving, oh, I just got all this PR, I'm giving it all back to you, bitch. That's spending $0. And like, I know it, like, it sounds like I'm talking about Michaela, but like, Michaela is literally just like I'm just using her as like a figure to represent what a lot of these influencers do. But it's like, I don't give a that you're giving back your PR. That was all free to you, which is also bullshit. But it's like, if you're really gonna like spend some actual money, like, they'd be like, it's a $500 gift card. You wipe your ass with that. That's the only money you spent in this entire giveaway, is giving a $500 gift card. You wipe your with that. How about you pay somebody's rent for the month? You know what I'm saying? How about you pay somebody's rent for the month? How much you pay somebody's tuition? How about you put out a scholarship? Like, it's so much more that you could be doing with your platform, and yet you just keep these people focused on the same bull. Support a different cause. We don't need more makeup. Like, we got it all. We literally have it all. Do something else with your money. Thank you. Nikki, at least Nikki. Oh, and that's one thing nobody can say about Nikki, that she never cared about education. That girl bit. Oh, anyway.
There was so much. This was 3 minutes and 51 seconds. And this content creator, she'll be tagged down below. She got a lot of backlash from a lot of people who were influencers and who weren't influencers. She said quite a bit. I didn't want to stop it. I just wanted to let it run. But let me just see if I can remember here. What did I put here? Let's just start from the bottom, because she was saying how these influencers, well, whoever this Michaela's name came up. I don't even know who that is, but you see, she mentioned it because I didn't watch this in its entirety. But she talked about how this influencer should be paying someone's rent or their tuition. No influencer is under any obligation to doing that. If they do it out of the goodness of their heart. And if they're giving out a $500 gift card or whatever, then just be grateful for it and keep it pushing. And if you don't want to support that influencer, then don't support that influencer. It always bothers me when someone, and this happens a lot with the public when it comes to celebrities, they'll say, oh, let's just say there's a disaster that happened in Kansas. No, hope nothing happens in Kansas, right? But let's just say a disaster happens in Kansas. They'll say, oh, why aren't these celebrities stepping up and using that money to go and help people in Kansas? It's not the celebrity's job to do that. If they do it out of the goodness of their heart. But if we want to help, then stop pocket watching and saying what somebody else should do with their money. You contribute in your own way and keep it moving. And if they decide to contribute, they decide to contribute. But those people earn their money. If I'm homeless and you're making $60,000, $70,000 a year and there's some disaster, is it fair for someone to say, well, you're making $60,000, $70,000 a year. Why aren't you helping so-and-so, or why aren't you contributing to this disaster? You see how that feels or how that works? And it's not their responsibility to pay your rent. It is your responsibility to pay your rent. So I didn't understand that. She talked about the fact that they're getting millions of dollars, and not every influencer gets millions of dollars. Some of them get hundreds, some of them get thousands, some of them get hundreds of thousands. It depends on your platform. It depends on the value you bring. But that's a drop in the bucket compared to what the advertiser makes. And I find that we always do this when it comes to influencers. But again, when celebrities are making that kind of dough, nobody says a thing. When politicians are charging $400,000 for a speaking engagement that lasts 30 minutes or an hour, people go, well, they deserve that money. But when it comes to regular people earning that money, it's an issue. If everyone out here is hurting and everybody wants to make money and someone actually has the opportunity to make hundreds of thousands of dollars, why not be happy for that individual versus saying, oh, they don't deserve it. And you're only selling makeup. She looks like she's wearing a little bit of makeup, not a lot. But she looks like she's wearing makeup. She's benefiting from all the marketing and the advertising that a lot of people are doing on the platform. I did agree with her when she said a lot of them are going into debt for views. That is true. And that's something that I mentioned in my video. So please be sure to watch that after this one, if you haven't seen that one yet. There are folks who are going into debt, for views. And, I'm not a big fan of doing that because obviously that's just not sustainable. But again, that's not every content creator. There are some content creators who aren't going into debt. They get like free gifts all the time. Some of my favorite content creators who I watch, they're constantly gifted with things. So you get the views and then you get paid from the brand. So I think that's actually really smart. I'm not going to minimize what anybody does because she says they're basically doing nothing. And this is going to be a final point. I could pick apart everything that she said, but I don't care to do that because I respect her opinion. But she says they're not doing anything. And I hate that sort of caste system that we, put out in society where doctors are here and they deserve it, but not this person over here. Entertainment is still very important for us. She's entertaining us through TikTok. The person who's cleaning your car, at what level would you put the person who's cleaning your car? What level would you put the person who is throwing out your trash can? What level would you put the housekeeper at a hotel? Everybody plays their role, and that's their role, and that's it. So I think there's a little bit of jealousy here, to be honest with you. And what I've found, because I watch a lot of these content creators, they start off just like this young lady saying things like, oh, y'all are just doing nothing. It's just makeup. It's just this. It's just that. That's not important. And you know what happens? And it never fails. Some big sponsor comes because they're hot and they're trending and they knock and they say, hey, I know how you felt. We watched your video go viral. You had a lot of great points. We would love for you to, because we love your skin. She has beautiful skin. We'd love for you to just kind of like advertise this lipstick for us. And we are willing to pay you $7,000 for a 30-second spot. You think this girl would turn that down? Everybody has something to say until the money comes knocking, until the sponsor comes knocking. And if people are out here hurting, I wouldn't expect for them to turn that down. I would absolutely expect for them to go ahead and do it. But, that's just people. And apparently someone in the comment section, because they were going off on her, said that she had been offered some sort of brand deal. I don't know if that's true. And if it's true, I don't know if she took it. But a lot of people say what they wouldn't do until that money comes knocking.
The reason influencers are getting paid a ridiculous amount of money is because they're making brands an even more ridiculous amount of money. And that's something you guys are not understanding. I have a master's degree in marketing. I do content creation full time, but I also work in marketing part time. And what a lot of people who are making these videos saying, oh, influencers are getting paid so much money to do absolutely nothing, are failing to realize is the fact that brands work with influencers and send them PR and take them on these crazy trips for two main reasons. One, obviously being to make money. Influencer partnerships tend to have a much higher conversion rate than like traditional marketing. But two, and arguably more importantly, is to build brand resonance. And the first step of building brand resonance is to build brand awareness and brand salience. In non-technical terms, right? A brand's ultimate goal is to get you to purchase the product and then build a relationship with you so you keep purchasing the product over and over again. But you're never going to purchase it in the first place unless you're aware of it. And even if you are aware of it, there's so many other products to choose from. Why would you choose them? But if you recognize the product from your favorite influencer's page, you're like 20 times more likely to be like, oh wait, I saw that on so-and-so's page. I trust her. Let me get it. On top of that, again, obviously brands want to make money. So if you're spending tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars to put up billboards and signs on the side of trash cans and subways and whatever, it's the same as if you were to cast an extremely wide net in the ocean and you're like, okay, I know there's fish that live here, but I have no idea what's in here. Whereas if you have an influencer who you have her analytics, okay, her following is 85% female. Of those 85%, 90% of them are between the ages of 18 and 35. That's our target audience right there. If you're launching a product that's supposed to make your makeup 20 times glowier, instead of running a paid ad on your social channels, which brands also do, you can work with Glowy Makeup Girl Boss 1234, who has an army of 100 and something thousand followers who follow her just for glowy clean girl makeup. So even if that video doesn't perform super well, there's like a 90% chance that somebody who's interested in glowy makeup saw it. Even if they don't go buy it right now they've seen it, it's in their head. So when they're shopping at Ulta or Sephora and they're like, oh wait, I saw this on Kyra's page, they're more likely to buy it. Are you walking with me? Okay. There's a lot of misconceptions about influencer marketing in general. I could literally make an entire series on it because there are so many things that people just do not understand from both the brand side and an influencer side. But anyways, bye.
Yeah, she had a good explanation. I just wanted to play that because, again, people always focus on these influencers making so much money, totally forgetting that the brands make a ton of money off of influencer marketing. Like the money that they give to these influencers is a drop in the bucket.
I recently came across a video where an influencer was coming up here and she was essentially saying that influencers are a month away from being on welfare. They're not aspirational. Just pretty much trying to come up here and humble influencers and talk about overconsumption and capitalism. But as someone who is in business school and is focusing on venture capital, I thought that this take was absolutely hilarious. So many so many nuances that we did not discuss. Like it was a crazy take, a hot take, but that's what goes viral. And so I think it's funny to talk about the capitalism and overconsumption of social media and then post on social media with a hot take, which is influential within itself. But I do want to talk about like macroeconomics, and what's happening politically, what's happening with this generational wealth transfer, the creator economy. There's so many different overlaps that she did not discuss that I think it's very important. And I just want to start by saying that if you don't like the content that you're consuming and you don't want to watch someone get their hair done and do whatever, don't watch it. Go follow other people. There's so many people that are corporate lawyers, that are doctors, that teach you how to study, that show you their favorite different productivity tools, that show you how to lose weight, that talk to you about nutrition for free. These are very important things that actually do change people's lives. And just because you are not consuming this content doesn't mean other people are not consuming this content. But for the purposes of your video, or if this comes up on your TL, because I know TikTok can be a tad bit messy, I just feel like we need to talk about money.
So I had to stop it here because she made a very valid point. If you were to look at my algorithm, for example, my algorithm is, I don't like the drama of YouTube. I don't. I might keep my ear to the street for it because obviously I'm in this space, so I need to know what's going on. But if you looked, like if you went into my account, what I'm watching a lot of are like the financial gurus, the Dave Ramseys. I'm watching Anthony O'Neill. I'm watching a lot of faith-based content. That's my thing. I might watch some fashion because I love fashion. I watch old film noir. It's like all that sort of stuff. That's what I'm into. That's what I'm watching. I watch beauty content because sometimes I want to know like better skincare. That's what I'm watching. If I have no interest in that, if I think that is trivial, if I think it's pointless and foolish, I'm not tuned into it. And so people have to learn how to build their algorithm rather than saying this person doesn't suit me, but I'm going to keep watching them. Even though I don't like what they do and I think what they're doing is foolish and it's trivial, I'm going to keep watching them. What are you watching for? Are you hoping that they just stop doing it? This is stupid. Build your own algorithm about what you like. And that's it. And I think, and I'm going to stay with this point, that a lot of it stems from jealousy. I love to see young people winning. You have young people who are like, man, I'm tired of working a minimum wage job. I'm tired of like working this gig with don't pay money. I'm tired of having to do, 1,000 runs for DoorDash just to make, like to help pay my rent. If those people can go and do unboxing reviews or whatever and make their rent and make their insurance payments and their car payments, or they could buy a vehicle, why should I hate on them for that? You might think it's stupid, but they're earning their money. Like, we should be celebrating the fact that there's another avenue for people to earn.
So money needs to come into communities for more money to be made. And historically, Black communities do not have a lot of money within the community. That's how we've been able to stay down within the United States. When there is an opportunity for the Black household to make more money and to clear themselves of debt and to own homes, it gives us the opportunity to have a stronger community and be able to have autonomy when it comes to figuring out what we want to spend in this United States that was built on quite literally capitalism. And I do want to bring in the point that if you are trying to run away from capitalism within the United States, you are as crazy as, you're just crazy. You can't run away from it. You're going to have to live under a rock. This take irks me just for the fact that right now people are struggling. Unemployment is high. Interest rates are high. Debt is ridiculous. This is literally, there's never been a time like this before. We have not had a break since COVID. And I do think that people are looking for different outlets to make money, and we should allow them to do so. It will be a way for the Black community, I'm only going to speak about the Black community because that's a community that I'm a part of, to make more money, to then in turn buy that house.
I'm going to stop it there. I'm going to link it down below so you guys can watch on your own. But she was absolutely correct. I'm a Black woman. I'm a part of the Black community, and I see we don't have a lot of things. So I'm going to speak from my perspective, right? And so it feels good, to be honest with you, when I see young Black men and women like getting it, making their money. So, you know, this video is going to be all encompassing. Obviously, I'm talking about like why people are, like, secretly love when influencers fail. But, you know, I can't have that conversation without talking about this sort of thing. Why it's quite silly, to be honest, to root for someone to fail, because when they fail too, their communities fail, their families fail. So, you know, I don't really buy that. I don't agree with that. There are a lot of creators, and we always think about the big influencers, right? But there are smaller creators, micro influencers, who aren't making a lot of money on the platform, but they're giving their honest takes about like things that they love. Let's just say it's makeup. Let's just say it's skincare. Let's just say it's a telephone or something like that, cell phone. And we look to those individuals because we feel like we can trust them to kind of guide us and give us all the information that we need to buy certain products, right? We trust them. And I don't think that those people should be discounted because what they're doing seems very trivial. Because how many times have we ladies wanted to buy a lipstick and been like, oh, I think that'd look good on me, but I need to find someone who is my complexion, someone who has my features, to see how that would look, to see if it, you know, might work for me. And that's when a lot of times these influencers come in. You could go and Google for like Revlon's commercials and that sort of thing, but that doesn't mean that you're going to find someone who looks just like you. You know, everyday men and women, boys and girls are online, and they're able to do these things and showcase these products in a way that makes you want to go and buy. And that's power. That's influence. That person has influenced you. Every time somebody watches my video and they go, what lipstick are you wearing? I like that lipstick. I'm going to go and buy that, and I tag it down below. That's influence. And I'm not trying to hype myself up, but that's influence. You saw something that you liked. I sold it to you without selling it to you. You want it for yourself. That's influence. And people look at that as trivial, but then a lot of things are going to be trivial. The Apple watch that you're wearing on your hand, or the iPhone that you have in your pocket, you bought that because of influence. Either the Apple company influenced you, or some influencer influenced you, or your coworker who had it and made it seem like it was the greatest gadget in the world influenced you. You've been influenced. All right, listen up. If you're here, it's because you love the chaos, you love my hot takes, and you like the crazy shenanigans right here on my channel. So I've got something for you. I want you to support the channel by becoming a member. And in return, you get access to extra content, early access, and a few perks that are only for members. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why would I pay for this? Well, you're already on here watching me talk about the internet like it owes me money. So this is just the next step. So here's how it works. There are 5 tiers. The first, professional bystander. As a professional bystander, you get a badge, you get members only posts and access to polls and announcements. Tier 2, you're just here for the hot takes. You get custom emojis, members only comment sections, and exclusive short clips. If you want to step into tier 3, well, that's receipts and reactions. Here you'll get early access to videos, longer members only commentary, and priority consideration for topics. Now we're stepping into tier 4, which is the Bad Decisions Club. Woo. If you're in the Bad Decisions Club, you're going to get members only reaction videos, behind the scenes clips, and an unfiltered members feed. And finally, there's tier 5, algorithm risk. You get everything above plus full access to the members archive, members only live streams, and the ability to suggest topics and get shout outs. So if you like what I do and you want to get more of it, then memberships are the way to support the channel and get a little extra chaos in your life. And if you join, I promise to keep the content coming and to keep the takes hot. So if you want in, hit that join button and let's do this.
Okay, please don't judge me for this, but I fell in love with a laptop case, but they don't make it in my 15-inch size. It's only in 14-inch. So I decided to buy a new laptop today to fit that laptop case because it was just so pretty. I promise I'm not normally this extra.
She loved a laptop case, and she went out and bought an entire new laptop because they didn't make the case in the size that she currently owned. Okay, by the way, here's the laptop case.
I'm gonna do a quick little haul of everything I got recently, starting with the long-awaited laptop case reveal. This is from Heaven Mayhem.
That's it. This is the elusive, amazing, need to go out and buy an entire new laptop for just this case. This is what it looks like, okay? What's concerning to me is that people instantly fell in love with Becca Bloom from this video, and they were very intrigued. And one of the things that I see a lot is that they find her so relatable. Okay, she's a relatable rich person. She's different than all the rest because she's so relatable, but ironically went viral doing probably the most unrelatable thing that I've ever seen. So yeah, here's some of the content that she does.
Plate my cat's breakfast with me. Oscar and I are actually eating from matching chargers this morning. Sushi grade salmon sashimi. Our chef also made Oscar this tuna bone broth blend, which smells like a stinky sock, but to each their own. Soft boiled quail eggs. I'm just gonna give him one because Oscar is also a little bit overweight.
So yeah, she's got a private chef. She's standing in her mega mansion kitchen that she frequently shows off to everybody, serving up quail eggs.
Have some salmon roe caviar for seasoning. I'm not gonna put too much of it because I don't want to overwhelm him.
Salmon roe caviar for seasoning. She's basically about to put $200 worth of it on her cat's meal. But don't worry, she doesn't want to overwhelm him. By the way, just a side note, the way that they collect caviar is absolutely evil.
Freeze-dried codfish, which I'm just gonna sprinkle. Oscar's not gonna eat these, but for presentation we have some edible flowers. I always put a blueberry in his plate so he could play around with it after he's done. Not happy staring at him eat from the window.
Let's see what people have to say about it. Everyone is focusing on the charger plate and skipping the part where the cat is having freaking caviar. 92,000 likes. The cat has a charger plate. Damn. That's a $2,000 Versace plate, but goals. People absolutely kiss in her comments. Like, it's a phenomenon that I have not really seen before. I love rich people that act like this.
Come high jewelry shopping with me. Bulgari flew us out to Italy to look at their newly unveiled collection, Polychroma. They left us some goodies in our hotel room. Had some French toast for breakfast, did a quick walk on the treadmill before heading to the high jewelry showroom. Upon arrival, we were escorted by their team through the emerald, ruby, and sapphire rooms. Any pieces that caught my eye were brought to the private room.
First things first, I've had cats all my life. Love them. Love them to death. My cat will go outside and bring a rat to the doorstep, and they will lick their lips and like it. But she's preparing this caviar and quail eggs and salmon. I wish I had that to eat right now. Again, not my type of content. I'm not really interested in seeing that. Has nothing to do with jealousy. Like, go get your money, girl, Becca Bloom. But I could certainly understand why people would be like, this is just excessive. But you would know that she's an excessive kind of gal. So why tune in if it's not your bag? Like, just don't watch. That was a bit much, I'm not gonna lie. So let's talk about relatability. I teased it earlier and I really want to talk about this because this is something I hear all the time. Oh, this person isn't relatable anymore. I can't relate to this individual. They're making too much money. This influencer has too much. They're just not relatable. They've changed. Change is good. When it comes to relatability, you will never relate. Every single audience member will never be able to relate to a content creator. You just won't. There will be people who will say, I'm so happy you haven't changed. I'm like, from you've been on the platform, you've been consistent, you have not changed. They're so relatable. And somebody else will say, I've been on this platform watching you for 5 years and you haven't changed. I don't know. You're not relatable. You're not relatable anymore. I knew you and I felt you back then 5 years ago, 3 years ago, but you're just not relatable anymore because you haven't grown. It happens offline as well. Many of you watching this program today and listening via the podcast, the audio podcast, you can't relate to people who you went to middle school with. You can't relate to some people who you went to high school with. You can't relate to someone you went to college with, or your former coworker, or a former partner, a former husband or wife. You don't find them relatable anymore. A celebrity who you liked 20 years ago, you just don't find them relatable anymore. And maybe it's not for you to relate to them throughout the whole cycle of their life or throughout the cycle of their career, because you're growing, they're growing, or maybe you haven't grown and they have, or you've grown and they haven't. So it's impossible to find someone relatable throughout the whole cycle of their career, through the seasons of their lives. So some things will change, and then there's nothing wrong with that. If you don't find that person on your same wavelength anymore, and I understand to an extent, because, again, if you've lost, maybe I just think of things a little differently. So I'm like this. If I've lost my job, knock on wood, if I lost my job and I saw somebody online who is thriving in their career, my mindset isn't to say, this person isn't relatable anymore, I can't watch them. Although some people might feel triggered by that. My mindset is I got to keep hustling till I can get to that point. I'm going to be motivated by this person who is still getting it, still grinding, still, just getting it on their job. I'm motivated by that. Not everybody is that same way, but that's just how I am. But I'm not going to be like, they're making too much money, so I can't, nah. And if I do, I'm not going to criticize them for it. I'm just going to melt off the scene. I watch content creators whose money eclipses mine every single time. I mean, I know they're making way more money than me. I don't care because I look at them as aspirational, like, I'm coming for you. I'm going to get there, So again, everybody will not be able to relate to you. And again, the people who say they relate to you, who love you, who are your friend, all that sort of stuff, those are the same people when you fall or fail on this platform. Not all of them, but there are some of them who they're so happy to see you fail. It's psychotic.
Girl on YouTube made a video about me. Shout out to Empress of Ease. There was a comment in the video that raised a really interesting conversation. Truthfully, I've been wanting to have for a while, but I should preface this by saying, if you generally do not like influencers, just turn this video off. If content creators and influencers being spoken about positively or being humanized in any sort of way triggers you and bothers you, like, this is a topic that no matter the context, no matter how logical I'm speaking, is going to trigger you. You're not going to be able to contribute to anything that I'm saying in a logical or objective way. I'm just keeping it a buck. There was a comment on this video, and it's actually not the first time I've heard comments like this. It's a very, very popular sentiment. The phenomenon of just generally kind of being over a content creator when they no longer feel like a friend. I'm gonna move you over here so you can hear me better. For some people, that's the appeal with content creators. Someone might say, I love watching this person's content because they feel like my friend. And to be honest, I think it's actually quite sweet. Who wouldn't want to be looked at as someone's friend? Even if it's someone that you've never met. I love that the internet makes community building, even people who live in remote parts of the world. I think that's incredible. And there were people that were commenting on this particular video where they're basically saying they stop watching someone when they stop feeling like a friend. I personally think this way of thinking is one-sided. This friendly exchange, for the most part, not with everybody. I've been a content creator for 16 years. Whether people want to admit it or not, influencers do not be your friends when they say or do something that you don't like, even if it's not controversial. An influencer is not your friend when they date a guy that maybe you're like, ooh, I don't know if I like him. There's very popular creators that show more about their relationship than I would ever be comfortable doing. And these are content creators who would very much give like, oh, that's my girlfriend. Like, she's cool, she's tea, she's one of the girls. But people absolutely do not be talking about them or their relationships or when they have missteps or even if their partner has missteps as their friend. Creators are not your friend when they buy a house, sometimes, when they lose weight, when they gain weight, when they have a baby. I see how people be talking about new moms. They're not necessarily your friend when they relapse or when they end up in an abusive relationship. I see how people be talking to abuse victims online. This is a really basic makeup look, by the way, because apparently my man is now a boxer? Question mark? I don't know. Listen, I'm just happy I got a man who got hobbies, okay? I love that for him. He's competing today, so I'm just doing like a quick little light beat. And speaking of my man, I'm gonna be very candid and honest. He don't want to be online. Like, he's not one of these podcast bros. Back in the day when we used to have a co-vlog channel, we were not really posting that often. We would upload when we felt like it. But the crumbs, I mean the literal crumbs that we both shared on that channel, turned him off from having a social media presence so much because of how people talked about him. And because of how people just make really odd generalizations about a relationship, I'm like, yeah, hell yeah. Like, I would be put off too. And like, if my friend got into a relationship, like my friend, and I went behind her back being an absolute menace, it'd be different if the person actually was sketchy. But if I didn't know him and I was going around town talking all kinds of mess about this person, that is fundamentally not how we define friendship.
She nailed it when it came to like how people react, even though they're so like, this person is like a friend to me and that sort of thing. And the minute you make a misstep, they quickly just turn on you. And I don't expect allegiance from strangers. And I think a lot of content creators and influencers don't expect the same, but some do. Some start to really believe it when people say, you're my friend, I love you, that sort of thing. Unless someone has been on the channel for a long time and I've had like personal sort of interaction, I try not to let that get to my head. She mentioned the fact that she and her now husband had a channel, a joint channel at one point, and they were just giving crumbs, meaning they weren't saying much about their relationship. And just to see how people would take that and run with it. I've seen too many relationships on social media get torn apart because people just wanted to put their partners on. And I used to feel that same way too, like, oh, you want to share the best part of your life with your audience and that sort of thing. But I realized very early on how people turn very quickly and they always nitpick, and it'll destroy your relationship. It's best to just keep it off. Just live your life privately off camera, because the less you give people to talk about, the better, because everybody is not a fan. Some people are tuning in just to see you fall and fail so they can celebrate that because they didn't like you in the first place. So let me just read some of the comments that were under her video, Jackie Ina's video. Asamoah is her new last name, pardon me. Jackie Ina, that's how we know her, Asamoah. Someone says, Amber says, I also can't stand the they knew what they signed up for mentality. Ooh, that's a trigger for me too. And Jackie responds, only saying this from experience, but it genuinely sounds like a way to excuse being verbally abusive. And Jackie nails it. Both of them nailed it. And it's only when you get into this business that you understand. You get into this content creation space that you will truly understand, because people use it as an excuse to abuse content creators, just like they use it to abuse celebrities. And the reality is people didn't come into this space for that. It comes with the territory. I wish it didn't, but that doesn't mean that you need to be a jerk to people, But that's what happens. It gives them some sort of solace to say, I'm not being mean to them. I can do this because they knew what they were signing up for. And again, it's a great equalizer for them in their minds. You're making all this money. You have all this popularity, this fame, whatever, this attention. So, yeah, you'll take this abuse over here and you'll deal with it. Let's see another comment here. It says, parasocial relationships are getting out of hand. This one, someone says, looking for blackmail material is exactly what they want. That's exactly what it is. There are content creators who say, I want to be relatable. I want to share this part of my life and that part of my life. I went through hell and high water with this, that, and the next, and I want to share it with people so it can help someone. And I am someone who has benefited from people's transparency. And I've been transparent on my channel, especially like earlier on when I wasn't focused on social commentary and reaction, like super honest about a lot of things, right? But the minute people, you do a video that they don't agree with, they immediately reach back into that thing that you shared and they weaponize it against you. They're looking for something to blackmail you with. So just another thing to consider for those of you who are already in the content creation space. And let's see here. This last one I'll read. This also relates to viewers feeling like they're owed information from content creators. Woo! We've been seeing this a lot recently, to the point of doxing family, digging up relations, etc. That is so true. This one says the documentaries made about influencers, stan culture, parasocial relationships are going to be insane. Yes, no one owes you anything. In my last video, I mentioned that, I had said years ago, while revealing how much I'd made on this platform, that I wouldn't share that sort of stuff. And someone was like, well, you're not being very transparent, are you? And I'm like, they were like, you're talking about being transparent, but you're not being transparent. I'm like, hold up. I'm talking about being transparent about the pitfalls of this business. I'm talking about being transparent about the fact that there is a lot of bills you have to pay in this. There's a lot of things that you have to take care of. I'm not an elected official. I'm like, I don't owe anyone an explanation about anything beyond what it is that I'm talking about, which is social commentary and reaction. I'm not going to reveal my salary any more than I'd ask any one of you to tell me how much you're earning. Drop how much if I said drop right now how much you're earning inside, your jobs or your respective jobs, tell me your annual income right now. Tell me how much you're making, and tell me how much your rent is, and tell me who you're dating, and tell me, these are the things they ask from social media content creators. It's weird. It's not beyond social media stars, YouTubers to have their apology videos. I'm sorry, coming clean. James Charles, I remember him making his apology. He was in hot water some years ago. I think he had privated his video and all when he was exposed for messaging minors. And so he had his apology video. And then, of course, Jake Paul had his apology video. Anyway, so these influencer downfalls aren't just about drama. I think that they expose something very insidious about us as human beings and how we view one another when we feel like they've outgrown us or they have way more than us, they're doing better than us. It really does reveal something to me. I want to hear from you. Why do you think people secretly pray for others' downfall? And we're going to narrow that focus to influencer, to the influencer space, because that's what the video is about. I know it happens even like in, family relationships, that sort of thing. If you have a cousin who's doing extremely well, has everything that you want, and then all of a sudden, like, he or she announced that they're getting a divorce or their house is being taken, you go, aha! That's what you deserve. Like, why do we do that? Why do we do that to one another? Like, what are your thoughts on it? And again, like I said, to those individuals who are secretly praying for someone's downfall, please reconsider that mindset. Like, I know you might not like someone, but if you don't like them to the point where you're wishing that they fail, that's never going to augur well for you. Like, just don't watch them. Don't support them. Don't feed them. Don't feed them your energy. Don't feed them your views. Don't give them your money if that, is so triggering for you. But everybody has their place, and influencers certainly have their place. You're watching me. I don't really consider myself an influencer, although I guess people would kind of say that. I just kind of say I'm a digital content creator, and that's what it is. But, drop your comments and let me know why you think people feel that way. And I would love to chat with you all down below in the comments section. So thank you so much for tuning in and for listening. Thank you so much to my channel members and my new subscribers. I really appreciate you all. Just thank you. Just thank you. I really appreciate you. And this was a long video. I told you guys it was going to be kind of long. I hope you stayed to the end. If you did stay to the end, what emoji can you drop? Drop like a dollar sign or a money bag or something like that emoji if you have that on your phone. And then that'll let me know that you made it to the end. A dollar sign emoji or a money bag emoji, something, a block of gold, something like that. It'll be our little secret. Everybody else will be like, why are they dropping that sort of stuff in the comment section? I'll know you made it to the end. You're special. You're an elite category. Anyway, I'll see you guys in my next episode. Thank you so much again. My name is Rogan. Please follow me on Instagram at thisbahamiangyal, on TikTok at thisbahamiangyaltbg, on my blog at thisbahamiangyal.com. And I'm also on Rumble, same name, thisbahamiangyal.com. Rumble.com/thisbahamiangyal, pardon me. Yeah. All right. See you guys next time. Bye. Oh, shameless plug, because I'm also a writer. If you're trying to start YouTube, grow your channel, or survive being a content creator without losing your mind, I've got a blog that breaks all of that down. It's about strategy, yes, but it's also about that stuff that content creators don't really like talking about. Burnout, inconsistency, algorithm anxiety, bad advice, and why half of the growth hacks that you see online are nonsense. Look, I'm not promising overnight success or secret tricks because I wasn't an overnight success and I didn't have any secret tricks. But what my blog does offer is practical, honest advice from a content creator who's actually doing this and has made a ton of mistakes along the way, so you don't have to. If you're building a channel, starting a new one, or questioning all of your life choices because of the analytics, then I've got you. And this blog's for you. So head to thisbemyguest.com. The link will be on the screen and tagged down below. Read responsibly.